Hi guys, and welcome to another video. In today's video I want to show my game from round 1 in the Open Bavarian International Championship. So I played with black pieces against a 2100 rated guy, and we started with a little surprise. He played the Trompovsky, which is a quite rare opening, and I was a bit surprised and could not remember all my details here. I continued with knight e4 and c5, which is reasonable. Also this check here makes sense to provoke the pawn to c3, and then we tried to take in the center and later play d5 because his knight on g1 might be a bit awkward. And black is actually doing fine with several lines here, but it is not so easy, and we will see some problems which arose here in the game. So in the game he played knight to b3, which is the best move, because if he takes immediately, then he is stuck with the knight because it's pinned, and after knight e5, the weakness of the e3 square becomes visible. So that's why knight b3 is best. And here I was thinking for some time, and there are three interesting options. One is queen f5, which I was thinking about quite a lot, but there is one problem, which is takes, queen takes, and my pawn on a7 is quite vulnerable. And after something like b6, e4, all my pieces will be pushed back. For example, here queen c7 and e5. And since I could not prepare for this game, I did not like to go into such concrete lines. So the other move I considered was queen d8, which is a decent try, but instead I chose the very similar queen b6. After which he captured with the queen, and although I saw the option that I could go knight c6, I somehow disliked it because here I have the slightly worse pawn structure, but still this is quite playable and one of the main lines. Instead I decided to take in the center, which gave him a strong center, but I wanted to attack the center later. So here d5 might be an interesting option, but I disliked e3 because now I have no knight d5, and after knight c6 he might put pressure with bishop b5 and knight to c5, which I did not like, with some advantage for white. So that's why I started with knight c6, because now if e3, it's just not possible, because I have knight to d5 because the square is still empty and he has some problem with his bishop. But instead he played the very logical e4, taking the center, and I tried to counter in the center with d5, but somehow underestimated his e5, after which I retreated my knight, and we have some French type position because my bishop is bad and there is little chance that it will be developed to f5. So white continued developing normally, and I decided to play knight b4, which is interesting but not best. I should maybe just play a5 to make some pressure against this pawn, because his knight will become unstable. Instead, in the game I did not think so much about a5 because I thought the knight might be a bit misplaced here, but indeed I should just take the space and put pressure on d4. So in the game I decided to play knight b4, bishop b1, because I thought, although I'm losing time with my knight, he will lose the same time with the bishop, plus he needs one more move to kick the knight away, and I thought this is kind of some gain of time, but it's actually not that good. And now I develop my bishop to b7, but actually it's not doing much, and that's why the other plan should have been preferred. He retreated to be able to answer f6 with f4, which is very reasonable, and that's why I did not want to play f6, and at the moment it's not working because he can answer e6. So I started e6. After knight e2, bishop e7, I didn't like to play f6 because knight f4 would hit my pawn, but probably that's the moment where I should finally have gone for f6, otherwise I end up in a very passive position. So bishop e7, castles and castles, and f4, and here black is already worse, and it's not so easy to come up with something against f5. I didn't like g6 too much because he might go g4 anyway, and then f5 will be on the way. So that's why I decided to go f5. I'm actually quite happy if he takes here, because even though I weaken my pawns, he has no clear way to attack it, and I get some active piece play. For example, after knight takes, put my bishop here, knight has some possible jumps to e4 or g4 in the future, and black is in general quite active, and e6 can be covered with a rook, for example. So sadly he didn't take, and he played knight e2. I developed my rook, and he played b4, which is a good move, because otherwise I might have some chance to jump here and here, trying to open the position for my bishop, but b4 prevents all this. And now I'm kind of stuck, and I didn't see a plan. I should have maybe played a6 here, but somehow I was not so happy with my position after something like b5, because it opens up and I might also have some weakness, but still that should be a plan. Going a6, b5, and then potentially jump with the knight to c4. Instead I played a very stupid move, which was h6, and this is just not so useful. I'm not really threatening g5, and we will later see that I would rather have this pawn on h7. He played g4, and here I considered taking, with the idea that if he comes here I might sacrifice, but I was not sure enough, and I was not desperate enough, and I was just not able to judge this one here accurately, so that's why I didn't go for it. And f5 would indeed be a mistake, and white should just play something slow, something different, because here the computer sees black on top already. So anyway, I didn't like to give up this pawn chain, so I stabilized it, but now white has quite easy play, since I never really want to take again. And my best chance is some tactical stuff, which I also considered but didn't like, but that's the problem with my position. There is nothing to like. The idea is, as soon as white takes with the d-pawn, then I have a discovered attack, and I win back the bishop on e3. So he's forced to take with this guy first. I take again, and I'm threatening a third pawn, so he should take. And then I have this discovered check, and he might have this counter chance, but I can take, and it's messy. And as a human, I could not say, is this something where I'm doing suicide because I just give up a piece, or are the pawns just strong enough? And computer sees some wide advantage here, but alternatives are even worse, so I should still have gone for it. Instead, I tried to evacuate my king from the g line and bring my rook to the g file. And after knight f3, I saw how serious his threat of going h4 and h5 would be, because he would break my pawn chain then, because I'm just not able to recapture on g6 with a pawn, and so the pawn chain will break. And at this point I should probably play h5 or a6, and after h4 h5, but instead I played a very stupid bishop d8, trying to get my right knight around. But this was actually quite bad, because I'm just not in time to get a knight around, because here after h5 again my pawn chain is breaking, and it's not fun. And I played h5, kind of desperate, and offered him a draw, which I was very lucky that he took. And so the game ended in a draw here, but white has a huge advantage after both pawn takes here and also pawn takes here. I of course had some ways how I wanted to defend, but objectively speaking, white is much better. So some lucky escape with some result I was not happy with before the game, but considering how the game went, I should be happy with it, and continued today with the white pieces. So hope you enjoyed the video, and hope to see you next time. Goodbye.